Okay. Welcome. Iris, say hello to make sure everybody can hear you.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay. Can everybody hear Irish?
Let's hope so.
I hope so too. It was really interesting because this is the first time I fired up this PC in like 3 or 4 weeks and everything worked out of the gate. I'm like, wow, that's great. I was like, no technical difficulties. Okay. So who we got? Mad Dog. I see that you're on the register. Welcome. Iron Maiden. Good to see you. Blame Tag, I know you said you would try to check in because it was slow. Hybrid, hello. I saw Mel somewhere in there. Welcome. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, I guess for those of you who saw the post on social media, I think it was apt. I think using Forrest Gump when he's like, I'm tired of running, is appropriate. So, um, what I want to discuss tonight is what's going on and why and my reasoning for it. So, firstly, let me just address the fact that, Wednesdays come around when we normally do streams. And for the past few months, I'm just kind of like, you know, um, kind of out of gas. All right. And that's a true statement. It really is. And the second part of it is, like I was explaining to Irish off stream, is in order to get growth and get people into what we do, you have to use various forms of social media. And right now, social media everywhere is fucking trash. It is just argument upon argument. So, the first thing I want to say is this isn't forever, okay? We will reappear. If someone is curious as to when, I will tell you no earlier than February of next year. Why? Because I want to dodge the election, all the discourse with the election, all the discourse with all the other fucking political nonsense, and I'm shutting it down and laying low until all that's over. Period. And I think that's the right thing to do. Um, like Blame Tag just said, for real, I've been burnt out trying to promote serving times as well. When you go to like Twitter or Blue Sky, I don't care. Pick your fucking social media site of choice. All right. It's us versus them, no matter what. You can't be stuck in the middle or you're crucified. You can't get your message across doing what you're doing because you're not fitting what's trending and whatnot. And I'm just not fucking playing with it. I'm not doing it. It's just stupid. Welcome, Erica. Good to see you. And so I want to get that out of the way. It isn't forever, right? Part of it is for me to get rid of the burnout and if the bat signal gets raised and there's something important and we need to jump in, okay, that may happen. But I'm not promising anything earlier than probably February of next year. Because you'll have the election, you have the inauguration. I'm not getting back involved in promoting any of this shit until the smoke clears and it's all over. I just don't want no part of it. We have a pretty open platform here, and I don't want any of that to seep in because we're getting into a point in time where there's a lot of emotion and a lot of feeling tied up to a lot of bullshit, and I don't want it coming here. So I'm shutting it down. That's really legitimately what it is. Hello T and Lens. Hello Philly. Um, but that's kind of it. Now that doesn't mean that you might not see a random notification 3 months from now that there's a retail therapy session. And what's going to happen if there's any streams that come up between now and then? It's just going to be a check-in hangout. It's not going to be topical. It's going to be like, hey guys, come and hang out. We'll talk for a little bit, and that'll be it. If anybody wants to contact me, all my different accounts are still open. You can message me, you can email me. I'm not going anywhere as far as that goes, but we're shutting the machine down for a while. And who knows how it reappears. It could be something different. It could still be retail, but it could be something different. And I feel like I owed it to everybody to explain what was going on. And like I said, burnout's a huge part of it. I mean, I just don't have it in me. And, I never expected this to be a full time job, right? I'm not one of these individuals who had aspirations of being a full time YouTuber. No, that was never a goal that I had. But it is work preparing shit. You know, I work a real job and then I come here and then if I have a topic or whatnot, I'm researching stuff, I'm making graphics for it, all this other stuff. It is work, okay? But sure. Do I wish it was bigger? Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't? You create something, you want it to get big. I mean, you put your time and effort into it. You know, is it huge? No. Fuck no, it's not. I mean, we're sitting like 445 subscribers or whatnot. And I've talked before, I don't really care about the numbers. Hence why I never had a goal for this to be my full time job. And I'm glad I didn't because if all of a sudden something had happened and we had exploded and we had like a gazillion followers and I was getting money off of YouTube and I decided to quit my job just to be a YouTuber and then you run out of gas and you have the equivalent of a musician having writer's block, then what the fuck do you do? So I'm glad that that wasn't my goal. All right. Sure, I'd love to reach more people. I'd love for more people to check out our stuff. We started this in 2021. We're in 2024. Okay. It's been a huge thing. We've done a lot of cool shit. I've met a lot of cool people, and we've had a lot of great guests. I'm proud of every bit of it. Wouldn't change a thing. But it's kind of time to put it to bed for a little bit. So, um, Irish, do you have anything to say?
Just an acknowledgement, I suppose. I want to thank you for all the work that you put in, like, from the beginning. Like, as you did point out, yes, it wasn't about subscribers. We're not, like the channel isn't trying to be number one trending topic on YouTube or any other platform. Like, but it's like you put a lot of work into this, and like I've said before, there's a huge value to this that may not be recognized for a long time, and it might be a niche value for some people. But you covered a huge amount of important topics at a time that was really pivotal to people that work jobs like we have done or still do. Um, the birth of this channel was in the pandemic when almost all of us here got one of the biggest fuck yous
Yeah.
in our lives. Well, like you've been working retail on and off various different levels for decades, and and then you got the opportunity to have a job of your dreams, and then boom, you know something happened. You're called an essential worker, except for you know the dream job you thought you had was taken away from you, and then making reference to Gibson, of course.
Yep.
um, and then pandemic hit, and you're told, you're essential, but you're not. And then we all kind of realized. Well, I realized, as we spoke about it before, just the degree to which how much I didn't matter, and all the work that I put into my various
Mm-hmm.
jobs just didn't amount to shit. And I kind of spiraled, went into all sorts of panic, in my. And then I found this, um, and it offered a platform to feel normal,
Right.
to realize that I wasn't the only one, that lots of other people have been kind of misguided in their approach to work. And I've explained before how I've kind of moved from my general attitude towards work was I was a complete and utter workaholic. That came first. Married that, and then all the way to that didn't matter. And now I have a totally different approach and outlook towards my value, the value of my family, the value of everything else. And this was part of that, and I want to acknowledge your facilitating of that was seamless, and it was very good. And I really, really enjoyed every second of it. To your point for this evening, Reluctantly, I agree. As much as I like these and it provides some sort of cathartic relief, I there's a reason I am not on camera, because I don't want to blow up. I do have a regular job and I don't want to be associated with some bullshit out of context shit that
Hmm.
I might say. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to explain myself on my own local fucking media about something taken out of
Right.
context that went viral. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
and that's a real unfortunate reality of the times we live in. I don't want to be misquoted, like, or something, but you can all clip things and have it. So, and you're entering into election cycles in the United States, which are bad at the best of times, but now everything is just so divided. You have to pick a
Right.
side on everything. What type of coffee you have, what type of cereal you eat. Everything just seems to have this bent to it, and I think you're right to avoid it. Just there is a real purpose to a podcast like this, and I think it doesn't need to be as periodic as is it. Most podcasts are periodic because it's someone's career and they have to be topical and come up with something every week or every month or whatever. I, I don't necessarily think this one has to be. I wish it was. I wish it was a more regular thing. But
Yeah.
you're right. You're a one man show. You're going to get burnout. You have a regular job. You can't. It takes a lot of effort to do what you've done between graphics and setup and everything else. So there's that element to it. But as well as that, you just have, you have to circumvent way too much. Your golden rule was always no politics, no religion, and if you never instilled that, none of us would be here. Your thing would have I couldn't have been on, because if that was a free for all,
Yeah.
I couldn't listen to it. I couldn't partake in it, because it just would divide everyone. And you're right to just kind of, I don't know how to do this without social media.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
pro. Like I don't know how to do it, and I
that's the thing, so like for instance, I look at the YouTube page and now mind you, there's shorts and all that stuff. But if you look at our YouTube page, there's 330 fucking videos.
wow, I didn't know it was that many.
330, right? Look, there is no lack of content, right? And
Right.
there's been a lot of work put into this, and I've enjoyed it. I mean, it's not like, oh, this is a burden and blah blah blah. But if my heart's not in it, and I know there's a lot of other shit going on, and it takes away from what we're doing, look, let me be honest. I'm not just going to make a video just to make a fucking video. That goes back to the whole point of I never expected to be a full time YouTuber and stuff like that. My life doesn't depend on this, and that's okay. And like I said, I feel like in that space, okay, you know, there's going everything crashes. The video game industry, we're at a point where it might crash here real soon. The YouTuber pipeline of cash, man, that's going to run out eventually, right? There are good people out there making content who have dumped their life into making videos. They're not working a real job anymore. Look, it's going to crash. It's going to happen. And then what happens, right? So we're in a really unique place that we can pull the plug anytime we want, and we can reappear anytime we want, and we're not losing anything that, affects our livelihood. And that I'm thankful for. You know, I know people personally who are chasing this dream of being YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, blah, 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 famous. And it's a lost cause. And, and no matter how much you try to show them numbers or explain or whatnot, they don't get it. So I feel comfortable enough to be able to pull back and say, hey, peace out. We're gone for quite a while. If you're a wrestling fan, if you watched WrestleMania and then you saw the outcome of Cody Rhodes versus The Rock and the follow-up Raw where The Rock came out and said, well, The Rock has to go away for a little while, but when he comes back, I'm coming for you. It's the same thing here. We got to go away for a little while. We got to duck and cover. We got to recharge batteries. We got to get our head straight. We got to figure out what we're doing and whatnot. And when we come back, we're coming back for you. Okay. I cannot commit to this being a forever goodbye. Hence why the thumbnail said it's time to say goodbye for now. And there's been a lot of great comments in the chat. What was it? Philly said, absolutely sorry to see you go, but you have to take care of yourself first. Thank you. It's not about taking care of me. It's about come back when it's time. It's a hard line to walk from an ego standpoint to realize it's time to pull the plug. And I've thought about this now for about 3 weeks. And just over the past couple of days, I decided that this was the right path forward. And, if you look at the automated message in the chat, the big thing there is, thank you for your support. While we're dormant, please share this with your friends and your coworkers so we can live on in perpetuity. Like I said, we'll be back. And I'm not vanishing. It's not like I'm in a gated box and no one can contact me. If you're on Twitter, you can contact me there. If you're on Blue Sky, you can contact me there. If you're on Facebook, you can contact me there. Irish, I can tell you right now, there might be times where you and I just have a Skype call and we just talk. I'm not disappearing, but the product is going away for quite a while, and it just needs to. And I look at people, and I hate to bring this name up. I look at people like, for instance, our friend Cody. I'm just going to say Cody. You should probably know who I'm talking about, Irish. And watching how this individual went from talking about working at GameStop and all these terrible things to now it's just live streams and shock statements and what. I'm never going to do that, right? I'm not and that because that's somebody who felt and had the money come in, and all of a sudden I'm making all this money and I'm going to be a YouTuber. Thank God I'm not that guy, right? Thank God I didn't put all my eggs in this basket. I wasn't going to. And I want to thank every one of you, because just as much as it was therapy for y'all, it was therapy for me. This business sucks, okay? And it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't know if it's ever going to get better, to be honest with you. It's an awful business to be in. But, another thing, too, that's very discouraging is if you look what's going on in the United States, they're pricing us out of existence, and it's hard just to survive, man. And one of my big things I've said for years, long before there was a podcast, is why is the one thing that everybody needs the hardest to get? And that's a roof over your head. That's a problem, right? I mean, I just don't know. There's so much bullshit going on. Let's see here. Divine Raider says, oh, I know who you're talking about. Okay, got you. Maiden says, yikes. Erica says, hopefully your return date will be a Justice for Evan episode. October is coming. It won't be October. It'll be next year. I will not reappear until after the elections and all the bullshit nonsense is over. Let's see. TM Lynn says, burnout sucks, especially when it's coming from something you enjoy. I've been there. You got to take care of your view. Yep. Too. I did see where blame tag said essentially forgotten. That's true too. It's all I can say is thank you to all of you. If you're a part-time involved in our content, hey, thanks, man. That's great. If you followed every single thing, thank you for that. I mean, I am extremely thankful for meeting you, Irish. I think you are a great human being. Our beliefs line up very close. it was great having you come on board because we get the same perspective overseas and we understand that it's the same just about everywhere we go in this industry. And I think that's amazing. Blame Tag, super pleased and proud to have met you. And, no one can ever take away the Christmas song. That's one of the most amazing things that have ever happened. And there you go. But Cranky Manager, Hybrid Hooligan, Proto Rage, uh, Runs with Razors, TM Lens, Karen Harrison, all of you. I'll miss names here. I mean, I just will. But thank you. Thank you for being here. It made it cool. It made it, to the ability to blank stares, with Dollar Tree. That was a huge thing too. Her episodes, believe it or not, if you go look at our YouTube page, are some of the highest watched because of the amount of discourse around Dollar Tree. Ranty Bastard, yes. Sean William Brown. Look at some of the guests we had. I remember TM Lens. You should remember this if you pop in. We had that altercation with Jeff Brandis in Florida that got him on the podcast. I mean, that was cool. Personal thing for me, Shauna Potter, from War on Women. I mean, I saw a video of her singing with some people, wound up digging that, saw that she had the safe spaces thing and reached out, got her. Vanessa, talking about working at the squishy business. And that's something cool too, because you find out later she did the chainmail for fucking Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. I mean, come on. There's a lot of cool stuff that has went down. A lot of cool people. And Maiden, Mad Dog, you guys, I worked with you. We went through this shit. Mad Dog, I mean, what we lived through working for At Home LLC. Fuck them sideways. Don't care. I'll say it. I don't give a shit. It's funny. We worked for At Home. We were the bad kids. And, I finally leave. I get told, hey, maybe you should stay. Your store's in great shape. Nope, I'm out. And then the person tells me, yeah, we didn't treat you really good, did we? No, the fuck you didn't. And your princess I caught fucking stealing and fucking fired. Fuck off. So it's like, especially Maiden. I mean, working for a TJX company, it's not good. And especially at that point in time, because there were a lot of politics involved in that. But, Mad Dog provided me with a whole lot of great content, especially when we talked about Bargain Stunt. And, I live nearby. We were able to take pictures and show what went on and what didn't, all this other stuff. And I got to tell you, Mad Dog, if you pop back in, I've been in that store. It ain't close to what you had it. So feel good about that. But yeah, I mean, it's been cool. It is bad. Well, I wouldn't say it's bad. It was fairly clean, but the merchandising leaves a lot to be desired. Okay. And Hybrid, if you're out there, are you guys giving up on the bins, or is it just not as frequent? Because we've went into that one there quite a while, and I'm seeing stuff that's being left over, and there's not bins out and anything like that. I'm just curious kind of what you guys are doing with that right now. So, but I've met great people. We've had great episodes. We've had great conversation, and I'm proud of all of it. I'm not upset. I'm not upset that I'm not YouTube famous. That wasn't my goal at all. I'm not upset I didn't sell 1 million shirts. It wasn't my goal. It was just something that was there. And, I appreciate all of you who've been involved. I've made great friends doing this. I really have. And you friends are the ones that are going to help us when we reemerge and we get back into this. So, having said that, Irish, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, in no particular order. I'm trying to be lucid and coherent here. One thing I have to admire is Blame Tag's work ethic. The rate at which he produces, quality articles
Yes.
is impressive. I just that's just side note stuff, I suppose. But like you touched on a lot of stuff there, but the people and the kind of caliber that you have. It's been great. It's been very therapeutic. There's been some fantastic episodes and one-liners. I think I may be misattributing it, like, but I remember Mad Dog's come out, I think, with a few really good ones. The Actor Wage one was particularly, I use that a lot. Anyway, there's been loads of really good cathartic kind of hours of footage and listening time available. Um, I suppose something you touched on a few minutes ago, like, yeah, retail does suck, but I think it's probably over. It kind of overarcs everything else. Like, kind of just things have been getting worse in general, probably for every occupation. Like, the quality of life that you had 20, 30 years ago from an ordinary job it was better than today. I think between the cost of living and all sorts of other stuff, and just the discourse. Now, I'm aware of the irony that you and I would not be talking now, but for things like YouTube. But
Right.
even that's difficult, because in order to reach out, converse online, you have to wade through the sea of bullshit and AI bots and politically charged nonsense. No matter what if you want to post pictures about puppies, someone is going to take that in a way that they deem offensive, and you just need
Right.
to deal with that. And it's very annoying. And that is the difficulty that you're having at the moment. You're touching on topics that are very, very important: minimum wage, quality of life, work-life balance. And how the hell do you do that while circumventing that charged atmosphere? It's very, very difficult. And because if you try to do that, you will get exhausted, which is where kind of you are. And I think you have this Sophie's choice type of thing of, what do you do? Like, do you run the risk of just trying to plow ahead regardless and end up just beaten up at the end of it? Or do you do what you're doing now and just go, you know what? Fuck this bullshit. Fuck this noise. We'll come back when it's all a little less worse than it is now. Um, so until someone fixes
Yeah, right.
how to filter out trolls, I mean, Blame Tag and I are trying our best on Reddit, and it doesn't fucking work very well. We've every filter turned up to the last, and like, it's just to the point where, like, about probably 2/3 of all comments just get auto removed because everything's a fucking trigger word,
Oh, yeah.
uh, it's just, it's difficult because, I mean, some of the topics here should be covered. It's really, really important. And I enjoy just discussing them with like-minded people. But you do have to try and make sure that we don't end up in a fucking bar fight because
Yes, exactly.
basically, that someone is wearing the wrong color, or someone, supports the
They're
wrong
pulling
team
for
or
the wrong
whatever,
team. Exactly. That's where I was
whatever.
going.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm happy with everything we've done. There's nothing that I've done with this that I'm like embarrassed about or, unhappy that, we did. And sure, I'll go back to saying what I said earlier. It's not about being, YouTube famous or whatnot. Do I wish the retail war zone had grown faster? Sure. Yeah. I mean, but not for, YouTube clout and being YouTube famous. I just wish it would have grown further as a community. We have some great anchors in the community that are amazing. And so it's I'm proud of all that. I really am. I mean, and it just feels like we're in a very tumultuous time as a society, and I just kind of need to duck my head and you know stay out of shit and let all that handle itself before we do more, because there's going to be more. I mean, look, you've got like Target, You got Aldi. You got these businesses who design, hey, guess what? We're tired of, gouging you price wise. So we're going to drop all the prices because we need our sales to go up. There's a lot going on in the retail sector that is worth talking about. But even then, we could have some major scoop from like some, internal mole from some great company come to us and give us all this info. Nobody's going to see it because it's buried underneath all this other nonsense. And, it's, Runs of Raider says, I can envision the next Netflix series of Retail Warzone. I looked at that. There's a way you can get your podcast on Netflix, and we do not qualify. But, and there's still a lot of things I wish we could do. I mean, I just, you have to navigate the landscape. And I think, what's going to happen, the elections are going to come, all right? And I'm not choosing sides, and I'm not talking politics here. The elections are going to come. We're going to have whoever's in place. And as we go into the next year, the working class is going to be looking to see if it's getting better. Now, since we're here, I'll go ahead and discuss one thing. How many of you are familiar with the proposal for the overtime law that they're trying to pass? It's funny. They're trying to pass that on an election year. When Obama tried to do it, it was coming up on an election, and then 45 shot it down. So let me explain that for just a minute. There was, at the tail end of the Obama administration, there was like a bill that was proposed. If you make X amount of money, salaried. Now, we're not talking about hourly. We're talking about salaried employees. If you made X amount of money, anything over 40 was going to be time and a half, regardless if you were salaried or not, because you did not make what the cutoff was. So from personal experience, when I was working for Dollar Tree, they freaked the fuck out. And what they did is my district manager had to go to, they had some sort of formula, okay, based on store volume. My store volume was high enough that they came to me and I had to sign a piece of paper, and they immediately gave me a raise that went to basically $100 more than what the cutoff was per year to keep me from having to get the overtime. They went to the other stores that were lower volume, and they had them sign papers making those store managers hourly. So if you were in a lower volume store, you no longer had a guaranteed salary, and you were an hourly person required to work X amount of hours, right?
That's the definition of controllable expense.
Exactly, right? So now here's this new thing, and I'm not sure of the number. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 53,000, 54,000 is your salaried cutoff. If it passes, let's say you're working at a retailer and you're making 53 grand and the top end is 54. That means everything over 40 hours, you get time and a half at what your salaried rate is. And retailers are not going to do that shit. Retailers are going to run in there real fast, just like Dollar Tree. Oh, so you make 53, the cutoff's 54. We're going to put you at 54, 150. And that way we've got you and you get no overtime. That's what's happening. But I doubt seriously to pass, because just like last time, depending which president you get, and all the chambers of commerce are out there, and the retail federation and all that other bullshit, they're going to go in and try to cut it. But that's where we're at. And so if you're in that position, expect that to happen. Some of you may already have seen it happen. There may be companies out there where you've been approached already saying, in the event that this passes, this is what you're going to make. They ain't letting that ship go down. Hybrid says, isn't it like 56,000 they want to? Yeah. I don't remember the number. It was in the 50s. Okay. Which was way higher than the last time. 58,600. All right. So Hero has done the research. So think about that. You make $58,000 a year. Anything over 40, you get overtime, even though you're salaried. They're going to come in and undercut you because they know they would rather give you the raise to get you to that dollar amount than pay you the overtime. And that's the business we work in. That's just what it is. Maiden says, happened to hubby at Radio Shack. Oh, your hubby worked at Radio Shack? Man, I'll miss Radio Shack. I wish Radio Shack old school came back. Hybrid says, effective July 1st, 2024, the salary threshold will increase to the equivalent of an annual salary of $43,888 and increase to $58,656 on January 1st, 2025. I promise you, these companies are scrambling right now. They are scrambling. There's a plan. Every store manager or every assistant manager, anybody who's salaried, especially if you see that they'll drag it out. So initially it's 43.8. They'll come in and offer you, they'll tell you you're going to make 44, and then you got to work 70 hours a week. And then if it passes and that 58.6 goes into effect, businesses are going to close. They're not going to do it. They're not going to touch that because when you do the math, let's see here. So if you make 58,656, let's just see here. Hold on. Get the calculator out here. This is the good old retail Warzone stuff right here. So 58,656 divided by 52 weeks, divided by 40 hours. That means your hourly rate would be $28.20. So times 1.5. They ain't paying you $42 an hour. It ain't happening. They'll shut shit down before they do that. Retail ain't paying nobody that. No way.
No, there's ways around that, man. I worked for a place before that circumvented shit like this by time off and lieu. So like you'd be working 60, 70 hours around Christmas, and then they'll give you some bullshit, like they'll give you the 5 hours back in some February evening and another one in, like they just give you back the hours, but in these bullshit
right
when it was slow, I mean, that's there's way they'll circumvent that shit, it's
well, hold up. I think math was wrong. I think I did the wrong thing here, but still. So divided by 52. Divided by 40. All right. So 28.2 divided by 2. So, oh, no. It was right. So, yeah. They ain't nobody going to do that shit at all. They And the other thing, too, that we're going to get into when we reappear is the value of college education. Because if you are on freaking of Indeed and things like that, you'll see that they're asking for, bachelor's degrees, and they're paying like $15 a fucking hour. There's something wrong there.
That's the other thing, too, about going back to what I said there about 20 minutes ago. Like, like 20, 30 years ago, you didn't need, like, I mean, it's also got more expensive education, but you didn't need the level of education to enter into the job. And as you all know, most of the jobs that you do in our field, college didn't really help that much. Some parts of it might be helpful, but a lot of times it actually has the detrimental effect. Well, do you know what the most educated department usually is in retail? It's
What?
HR.
Oh, yeah. Which is worthless. And I can't.
Almost all of them went to college to do something HR related.
Hey, look.
And they are the worst department I've ever worked for or with in every employment.
If there's any department that can get replaced by AI that I will support, let it be HR.
I agree. Basically, like I don't see the added value in HR for the most part. Like they're inept most of the time, but they just have like in everywhere I went, they seem to be just this void, this vacuum that just sucks like all the things they're supposed to solve, they just screw up. Like your productivity, morale, even legal stuff.
Yeah.
They just they have this addiction to meetings, where most of their day is just tied up with endless, pointless meetings that don't do anything. That productivity is negligible, and that stems from college reports and fucking
Right.
papers and shit.
Well, I'm just going to say this. You HR motherfuckers who go in to make us go to these stupid meetings and try to teach us all this other nonsense and blah, 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 who rows the boat and who's the leader and God, blah, blah. I will cherish the day when your jobs are eliminated by AI.
Oh man,
I cherish. I will. We'll have a video parade about that because fuck all y'all. Because y'all think y'all special. Y'all think y'all got HR degrees and whatnot. All you're doing is following what the company tells you to follow. You didn't learn that shit. They give you a fucking piece of paper saying, ask
or
the interviewee this. You didn't learn that in college. Sorry.
the tools they give you sometimes are laughable too, man. I had a week there a couple of weeks ago. You have one of these weeks, right, where nothing goes right, and I had to fight for everything, and everything from like lights blown in the store to no shows to everything. It was just one of those weeks, and so I was like, covering shifts and trying to do this, that, and the other, and I was just exhausted. And then I had this interaction with a customer that just wasn't particularly pleasant, and I just needed, you need 5 minutes. So I went up to my my office, and sure enough, there's an email there from HR, and it was one of those emails they sent out. Somebody got paid to do this. They put together some badly thrown together PowerPoint presentation. It was like, today is like, it was one of these days. It was like, mental health awareness at your day, something something day. It was one of these made up things.
Yeah.
And it was just this email I got of like, how much we care about your
They
about our
don't. They're
employees.
just told
And
to
it's
say
like,
that.
"Man, you don't know anything. You've never worked in a store. Like the shit that I've had to deal with on just a regular basis of like how to keep the lights on, the doors open in this place. You don't know anything. Like, and then you come
Hell
up with this
no.
bullshit. Oh my God.
Well, hybrid just put it in here, and this is right. I'm going to touch on this. Hybrid says, put me against any manager in this company that has a degree, and I'd perform better than them. Hell, the damn district manager in Tennessee didn't want to out dry shampoo with the damn shampoo and wanted to put it with hairspray and care. That is true. So here's the thing.
Snipe.
There was a study done. God, this was done like back when I was with Office Max. We're talking like 20 years. That grassroots employees will always perform better than employees who are brought in with college degrees because you learn the business. So to Hybrid's point, you're 100% correct. And then windowless racks. Hello, sorry for bothering you. Want to offer promotion? No, we're going to hiatus. I don't need your promotion. Have a nice day. You're just like one of those people on LinkedIn. Hey, I can help you. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. We're just talking about you actually. Fuck off.
Fuck off. I can promote my own shit whether it works or not. I don't fucking care. Hero says, great job, windowless racks. Okay. But yeah, grassroots employees who've worked from the ground up will always outperform college degrees. And that is a problem that comes from the top of the company. If they start valuing degrees instead of tenure, they're going to fail. They're just
Well,
going to.
HR, man, you know what HR is? It's like someone wrote a book on how to swim. It's like they went to the swimming pool, watched people do it, and then wrote a book on how to swim. You can't do it.
No.
You cannot learn to swim in a book. You'll drown.
Real
You
quick,
have to be
Irish.
there.
Real quick. Hey, Tammy. Good to see you. You said you're on your lunch break, so I'm assuming you work second or third. Thanks for being here. Continue, Irish.
Well, look, that was it. Basically, it's
Oh,
just
okay.
I don't know. They frustrate me to no end. It's just and like I welcome that aspect of AI that just takes over
Yeah.
their jobs,
And
because I haven't met a HR department that has been good.
yeah,
Just they've all been terrible.
and I don't really ever try or want to bring where I work into business, into the podcast. I will say that there are, hiring issues. And it really comes from, corporate down, because when you have a bunch of places surrounding you that are hiring for lesser jobs for higher wages, yeah, you're going to have a hard time finding people. And that's the thing too, is I think a lot of, especially like new job searchers or people who need a full-time job or whatnot, they're not understanding what some of these companies doing. Company A may be paying $17 an hour. Company B may be paying $15 an hour. The difference is company B at $15 an hour is guaranteeing you 40 hours a week, whereas the one who's paying higher is only giving you like 20. And there's a lot of that going on out there. There's a lot of bait and switch. It's a great news blurb for these companies to say, hey, we pay high wages, but you're only working people 10 hours a week. I mean, it's not, shut the fuck up. You're not doing anything great. You're just saying, hey, our hourly wage or starting rate is higher than everybody's, but they're making less because you're only working them 2 days a week. And that's another thing that's going on right now. It's like, if people need full time employment, you know, a lot of companies don't have it. A lot of companies have adopted the part time model, you know, but they try to entice you by saying, hey, we'll pay you $17 an hour. And you're like, oh, $17 an hour, blah, blah, blah. But they're very strict on their budget, and you work 10 hours a week. That's the kind of shit we got going on here. So,
And
I
do the
mean,
work of three people.
right, right. And so you can't get ahead. And Hero says that's like a certain person who thinks it takes 5 hours to do a job that is different depending on the locations. But they spend their entire career at corporate, never in a single store, and are excited to share their I took this online course I paid for to get this LinkedIn award. Congratulations to F you. Yeah, fuck LinkedIn bullshit. If you're taking a course on LinkedIn, you need to be shot anyway.
Oh,
I know.
it's a fucking
Yeah,
cancer.
we
Like
already
it's
covered
just
that.
Jesus
Fuck
Christ.
that bullshit. The reality is companies have lost their way. They, even where I'm at, okay? I'll say this. I mean no ill will, all right? No one's mad. But when you have talent in your building that can do more and can be promoted easily, yet you are looking at outside entities, that's poor. That's poor company direction. You have great workers in your building, whether it's company X, company Y, company Z. You have great workers who've been there a while, who they get the job done. Maybe they don't want to move up. Cool, that's fine. Maybe they don't. But you should explore that avenue because you have grade A talent in your building that you are overlooking for whatever reason. And that's stupid. You may have an associate that works in a department who's been dead on. Their department sales are great. They're always on time. They're not rocking the boat. When things go bad, they're just steady go. And they're not considered for a promotion because they don't fit into whatever kind of nonsense corporate office is, which is bullshit. And part of my job in a lot of my stores was identifying talent that we could promote to the next level. And that's lacking in a lot of places right now. A lot. You don't have store managers who are identifying talent in their store that they can elevate to the next level to help the company long term. Because you might have district managers who have, stipulations as to who you can do what and blah, blah, blah. If you're not cultivating the talent in your building and bringing them up, and you're relying on like Indeed applicants and shit, guess what? You're fucked. You're fucked.
You see, it's conversations like this where we start talking about one thing and we end up talking about another thing, which is what I like about this show. You
Same.
have a lot of important things to say, and I really really like that. And that's what makes this podcast has a lot of value in my opinion. But So I think that's a good point to kind of just emphasize there of like, there's a lot to say, but it's probably the wrong time to say it, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
terms, no, 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 not you. What I mean is like that the times we're entering into with all the shit going on, you're right to bow out at this time, even though there's really important stuff to say and you're very passionate about it. So I'm just saying it's a good way of saying that you're not going away. You still have plenty of energy left, but you know that you're that the time isn't right to talk about these things because you can't
Yeah.
help but get we all got spammed by some bot there, for example,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's innocuous enough, but it's going to turn even worse when it comes to the next couple of months, um but like just I just love it. I love how we can start off with something lighthearted and end up talking about something very passionate, or the reverse, And I actually, do you to end on a lighthearted note, like, do you have a favorite episode, moment, anything like that, over the last couple of years?
Wow. Um, you know, I don't. I mean, like if I'm coming from Steve, his upbringing, I really got to say that the Shauna Potter episode was awesome for me because I'm a musician. And,
Mm.
I shared online, the video that got me hooked on her. You know, there is this thing, it's like 2 minutes to midnight. It's like this late show or whatnot. And she did this Van Halen thing with them during COVID. And and I loved it. I thought it was fucking awesome. And then when I looked her up to get her on, I realized what she was doing on the side. To me, that one and Justice for Evan are probably my top two. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think there's anything more impactful than Justice for Evan. I think that one, you know, it, it's kind of dark, obviously, but I think from the message, that's probably from a message standpoint, that's probably number one. Okay, from a fun standpoint and a passion standpoint of doing this, Shauna Potter, right? Easy. And then my most other favorite one was when we had the Economist on, talking about minimum wage. That one I'm very proud of. And not to be gushing on you, but I'm proud of every episode I've ever had the pleasure of you being my co-host, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it's just it's a unique niche that you have, and I like it. You demonstrated it very well there, where you start talking about one topic, and then you read a comment, and then next thing you know, you have a very impassioned kind of thought process on things like metrics and HR and what makes a good store manager, and it's great. And there's a lot of value in that. And I'm just saying that it's a pity that we live in the world now where
Oh,
something like
right.
that cannot be expressed without the risk of blowing up on some bullshit. you
Now,
know?
now, real quick, the one thing I will say is from a personal standpoint on a topic that I created to discuss, my personal favorite is the manager in your head, the job you could never quit, because that is something, if you decided to get out of management and you decided to become an hourly person, that episode is crucial because I talk about the fact that I've got decades worth of experience in this business and now I'm an hourly schmo, and your ability to be able to shut some things off. Your manager eyes and your manager ears will never go away. You can't shut them off. What you have to be able to do is learn to navigate through situations where it's not as apparent. And to me, that one, it was the unquittable job, the manager in your head. To me, that's the one that's most personal to me because I got out of it. And it's hard, man. It's really, really fucking hard. You know, I've ran big buildings, little buildings, multi-million dollar buildings, $10 million buildings. I've done a lot and I've done it well. Okay. And when you finally decide I'm backing out and I'm just going to go work, you know, it's hard seeing some things. And there's a disconnect between the people around you because they don't know. They don't get it. They don't understand. They may know what they know and what they're in and how long they've been in it, and they might not have done anything else other than what they're in. They do not understand the level of training, the level of, psychology that comes with all of this. They really don't. And it's hard as fuck to navigate, man. It is really, really hard. And that episode to me is the defining moment of why I did the podcast, because people need to understand that. I see shit every fucking day. Every fucking day. And now, I used to be this clean cut, short haired, very little facial hair, shirt and tie store manager running these buildings. I don't look like that anymore. And I've got my hair all long and I'm all shaggy and whatnot. And I'm working in the stock room and all this other shit. But motherfuckers, I know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? And I've done this for a long fucking time. And I'll say it again. You can change the building name. You can change the names of the people. The personalities never change. You have worked with this. Say you have an annoying employee. You've worked with that same employee everywhere you've ever worked. It's just a personality trait. And it's hard when you see things that need to be corrected that are ignored. It's the craziest thing. And it's like an out-of-body experience, actually. And you have to be able to try to pick and choose what you bring up and what you don't. That episode to me is anybody who's been in management and wants out and wants to just drop down and work, man, that's essential. You need to go watch that because it's hard. You cannot shut it off. The important part is being able to navigate what you know and adapting it to real life situations. Irish? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think I just thought of another episode there. It would be, sometimes in the future might be interesting to see. I know you got a lot of military veterans that say would have held rank in the military when they come back overseas. They get, they often get jobs in management and retail. It'd be interesting to see what they think about that exact thing as well, in the sense of like, being able to think on your feet, how to kind of like shut off the kind of drill sergeant in their head when they know they need to do this, and this, and they're just caught up in this red tape bureaucracy of like corporate and HR and all that sort of stuff. And their instinct must be just to plow through it and get the job done, but they're restricted in their employment contract. But
right.
Anyway, that's a different episode. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That was a really, really good episode. That's I judging by the comments, I think it's pretty unanimous, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one I struggle with the most. I mean, I really do. I have no quarter with anybody I'm dealing with. So I'm not mad at anybody. It's just hard. It just is because, I mean, God, I've been doing it since I was 18 years old. I am, 50. I'll be 54 this year. I've been doing this a long time, man. I'm not stupid. I've been through training classes. That's the interesting thing in the environment that I'm in now. The industry that I'm in now is very similar, but their training's way different than being in hardcore retail, because hardcore retail focuses really heavy on HR and training. And so you get a lot of psychological training from day one all the way through your career. When you back out of that into something that's a little bit different, whether it be grocery or mom and pop or whatnot, they don't have that exposure and they don't understand. And that's a shame, because as much as we shit on HR, there's a lot of stuff I've learned through the years that's been beneficial. I mean, where I'm at now is like, you see something starting to brew and you see something starting to happen and you can't get involved. And it's like watching a car wreck in slow motion. you can call it. You know, it's funny. I work with somebody. I've said some things to them. They're like, "Oh, you spoke this into existence." No, I didn't. I just saw the pattern and know where it was going. These are, learnable things that you can know. You can see, certain things like bullet points, and you can almost track where the failure comes, when it happens. And man, that's fucking hard, man. It's hard because you work somewhere, and if you like where you're working, you want the place to do well. It's not malicious. You want it all to be great. You want everybody to get their bonuses. You want everybody to be happy and whatnot. And you see stuff and you're like, man, I can't get involved in that. I just can't. And, it would make things better, but you just can't. And it sucks. It fucking blows balls. But having said that, we're sitting at 1 hour and 2 minutes and 49 seconds. So having said that, closing comments. I love you all. To all of you who have supported this from the very beginning, I love you. I really do. I think, we have a great community. I think that the people that are involved in this are great people. And I really appreciate the support. And I've appreciated it from the very beginning. If it wasn't for the community and people coming in, I probably wouldn't have continued, because I'm not going to sit here and talk to nobody, right? So having said that, thank you so much. Also to Irish, like I said, I will always cherish that email or the Reddit message that you sent me at the beginning. I think you're a great human being. I think ideologically we line up the same. And it's been such an amazing ride to have somebody who can give us the perspective in a different country. Who would have ever fucking thought that would happen when I started this? I'm also going to go ahead and say it, none of this would have been possible without Alex. It's unfortunate that things went down the way they did. It is what it is. But without him, there's no beginning to this. So I have to thank him as well. And once again, I want to make sure everybody understands this isn't forever. We will reappear. I can't promise when. I can give you a definitive when it may happen, and that is probably February of next year. But I'll still be active on the socials. You'll probably see guitar shit from me. That'll let you know I'm still alive. I'm still moving. But you guys can contact me the exact same way you've always been able to contact me. I'm not shutting any of that down. I just think it's time now to lay low. Let's get through a very hard period of time for a lot of people. And once we're clear of that, we'll bring her back. So having said that, Irish, do you have any closing comments?
Just to thank everyone again for the last couple of years. It has been very cathartic and really therapeutic, and it has huge value. And hunker down. We'll be back in a couple of months when you get the rest that you need, and we can hopefully in the meantime figure out how to do something like this while circumventing the hellhole that is social media.
Correct. Now, I will say this. I'm going to throw this out one more time. There may be random. I don't know if it's going to be. I'm going to use it on the Chronic and Random side or the Retail Warzone side. Look, I can't guarantee there's not going to be a random retail therapy session just to catch up with everybody. It's more like a friend thing. How's everybody doing? Those are probably going to happen. I just don't know where they're going to be. It might be something totally different, but it'll be posted on my socials and whatnot. But having said that, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I want to give an extremely big thank you to Hero for being as supportive as she has been with this. Lots of times she works late hours and whatnot, and I do this later than I should. She's ready to go to bed. I want to thank, my OGs that I worked with, Mad Dog, Iron Maiden, you folks that I actually worked with side by side, and we experienced this shit together. Thank you so much. But having said that, everybody have a great night, and I can't stress enough, just be good to each other, okay? Be nice. Quit fighting with people, all right? Find middle ground. Stay safe. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you the next time I see you.